Welcome back, everyone, to another great episode of Basscast Radio. I am your host, Brian Carter, and joining me as always, Hank the Bass Geek. What is up, brother? It seems like it's been forever, but it's only been like a week or so.
Yeah.
What's
I
up,
don't even
man?
remember what happened last week. Did we not have a guest, or was I in
It
the
was
middle of
it was a week from hell.
Yes, it was. Last week was a week from hell, period. Even on
Yeah,
this side. Last week was last week a full moon? I don't
yes.
remember.
It actually, I
explains a lot.
I had recorded a show already on before the first cast, so I uploaded that on Monday, and again
Okay.
I uploaded another one this past week on Monday, and it's another great episode, guys. If you are a fan of batteries and electronics, we got a guy down in Martinsville, Virginia, and that was, like I said, it was a really really cool show, and even I haven't had a guy at work. He kind of critiques me, guys, and he listened to it. And he said, dude, that was an awesome show. Because, I mean, he's enthused about it on top of that, but he also broke down a lot about batteries as a whole. So, I mean, guys, it is batteries with Paul. If it'll start here for me, daggone it. Here it is. All right. Mastering boat setup, dive into batteries and electronics. And with Paul Gringe. So I mean, Paul did a great job. He owns a business down in where is it at? Crap. What is wrong with me tonight? It is
Well, if
down
you'd
in
have talked to me
Martinsville.
last night, I'd been the same way.
Down in Martinsville, Virginia, guys. He owns a business down there. Take your boat, take your kayak. He can rig it out for you, run all the wires. I mean, he can make it legit, hooked up, get you with the right batteries to run the right electronics so that you have a great day out on the water. Because we used to say that about motors. Now, if a daggone motor breaks, you just run off your trolling motor. But as long as you got the electronics, you still got a chance to catch fish.
Yeah, that's true.
You just wait around out there in the middle of the daggone lake and catch a few fish and maybe get your buddy to bring you back.
That's true. I ain't done anything but catch white bass, hybrids and striper the last time I was out on the lake, playing around. Of course, I'm learning a new lake, and I've seen all those big dots that the elites were catching down on Table Rock, and I went, I seen some big old dots. I'm pretty sure those were striper, but I never caught one to find out. So yeah, I made that mistake with 8-pound test line. Shout out.
Wow.
Shout out to K9. Number one, I never retied all day.
That is awesome.
Caught 2 white bass that were probably 2 pounds. Caught 9-pound striper, a 7, almost 8-pound striper, and a 11-pound, 12-ounce hybrid.
Wow.
On TFO spinning rods and K9 8-pound test fluorocarbon.
That is awesome, dude. Wow.
It's not in the end when you're looking for black bass and you're just sitting here going, and you're going, Jesus Christ, it's going to take an hour to get this in.
Yeah, it was talking to the guys on Smith Mountain Lake a week ago, or was it? Yeah, when we did the benefit a week ago. There's a lot of stripers being caught during that. So I mean, if you guys love striper fishing, the lakes are on fire right now. Crappie as well. I mean, crappie bite is on. You guys seen Bruce Callis's page? Well, we probably get the crappie photos, and he posts the bass photos to his page, but he's catching lots of crappie right now. So I mean, if you want to get the coolers filled up and the freezers filled up, now is the time.
It's the time. Right before that water temp gets up. What was the water temp up there during that? Probably right around that 45, 48.
Yep.
Yeah. They start to move, man. They start to move up in those creeks. We were fishing a week before, and we were catching smallmouth, largemouth out there. We were scoping. Big schools of shad. They're up super shallow. And we come back in there at same exact places, mouth of the creek, some small bays. even on up in the creeks, and it was just loaded with whites and stripers and hybrids.
Wow.
So the bass had done went, nope, we don't want any of that. We're going to the bank.
In other news, guys, I had the wonderful opportunity to speak to some youth at it was up here in Roanoke, is Salem High School. They got a brand new fishing team up there, so I had a wonderful time talking to them about media, social media, and all that great stuff. I love doing it and love to do some more. Just throwing that out there. It was a
Nice.
great time. Didn't mind the drive. I mean, it's just an hour and a half up the road, but love talking about that. Also, we got our first Patreon this past week. Yes, I
Nice.
first Patreon. Our goal is 25, everybody. More would be wonderful. But 25 means the ads are going away because it pays for it. I'm not asking to make $1 million, guys. I just want it paid for. If you guys don't want to pay for it, then the ads stay. I mean, it's that simple. Sorry, that's just the way life is. I mean, you pay for it on Netflix when you won't get rid of them ads. You know what I'm saying? Add that extra $4 a month because you don't want to see some ads or whatever it is. YouTube, I don't know all the different streaming services there is out there.
Look, like it or not, time is money, people. And
Yes,
if I'm doing this with no matter how much I love it, I could be making money somewhere else. If
correct.
so, look, we love it. We love fishing. That's why we do this here.
Yes,
But, you know, there are costs to us doing it.
yes, and that is extremely true. So, guys, like I said, thank you for joining. One Patreon so far, 24 more to go. I'll be pushing a whole lot harder. The link will be under this show where you guys can go sign up. I think I only set it up for like $5 a month, is all I set it up for. So, really appreciate that one person. And newsletter, good gosh, is growing. Thank you guys for being a part of our newsletter. Appreciate the feedback regarding that. We drop a newsletter every 2 weeks. Our next newsletter will be the 15th. And I've got boxing to unveil from Deep Throat Jigs. And I got some other stuff I'm going to put in there, as well as a jersey from While We're America. So a $100 jersey and a bunch of baits, a hat, and some other stuff. So about $150 worth of product you win. So enter to win Deep Throat Jigs. And thank you for being a part of that. Last but not least, before we bring on our guest tonight, Red Crest Cup 2024, Birmingham, Alabama. Yep. The Basscast will be there. So what we decided to do this year, we kind of split it up a little bit. Jacob and Bruce are going to the Bassmaster Classic. Brian and Danielle are going to Red Crest because it's
nice.
It's a long freaking ways to go to that Bassmaster Classic. We're talking 16 hours away.
Yeah, I think it's 13 for me, but that's about right. I think we're about 3 hours away. We are. So,
and it's 8 hours to get to Birmingham, Alabama for Red Crest 2024. So we're going to be down there covering that, talking to a lot of people, recording a lot of videos. So just get ready. It's going to be a bonanza of information. I try to forewarn you guys on that because I mean I know some of you guys are like, dang, he's blowing this crap up. But we're an event. That's what I'm supposed to do. I mean, I'm paid. I'm there. We drove.
Yep.
We want to keep you guys informed, and we're hoping to see Mr. Bass Geek as well at Red.
We should be there. We should also be at the Classic. So back-to-back weeks of travel for me. Don't worry. The videos over on YouTube will still be pumping out. We've shot ahead. We're ready to go. Speaking, by the way, of giveaways you were mentioning earlier.
Yes.
The latest video that came out yesterday is the Bass Geek Baitworks box. You need to go watch it because we are giving away $50 worth of some really incredible hard baits for you guys. So go watch and check that out.
Oh, yeah, I forgot this before we roll on with our guest. Holy cow. The National Professional Fishing League 2024 championship is this weekend, everybody.
Yes.
We got the Baitworks commercial. They're a big sponsor of the National Professional Fishing League.
Yep.
Make sure you tune in. I know we got a Toyota event going on out in the left coast, and we got a Bassmaster Open down in South Carolina this weekend. So it's a lot of bass fishing on top of what do we got? Major League Fishing, Phoenix Bass Fishing League event on Smith Mountain Lake. That's where the
Yep.
basscast.com will be. So it's going to be another jam-packed weekend of fishing. All right, guys,
Yep.
tonight, Todd Walters is going to be with us. And you guys all know he just came in second at West Point Lake. Todd's, right down the road from us. So we thought we'd bring him on and talk about this wonderful event at the Tackle Warehouse Invitationals. All right, guys, we are back with Tackle Warehouse Pro, Mr. Todd Walters. Welcome back home, man.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
We talked earlier, and you've been on the road quite a lot the last couple of weeks, man.
Yep. We went to Texas, and then I was home for a short time, and then turned around and had to do some sponsor obligations, and then headed down to Georgia and fished a tournament there. Luckily, I don't leave again until the middle of April. So I do have a nice little window, get to fish with Hank a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna hook up and do a little on the water stuff.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Well, the break is always good. It's kind of sad. The elites are talking about that their next event, just like everyone else's, Red Crest and the Bassmaster Classic. But the way everyone schedules this stuff back to back to back so much these days, you need a little break. I hate to say it. I mean,
you do. We're just coming off a 3-month break, so
yeah,
you kind of so towards the end of last year, I started feeling good, started feeling it, and then the season ended. And it was like, okay, how do I carry this momentum? So once you get some momentum going, you want to get back on the water as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And keep that flow going, keep that swagger going so that you can continue to make progress. So
yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, we got Red Crest, so hopefully I can take my recent success and leverage it and have some conversations with some other fishing companies.
There you go.
That's awesome. Before we get started, Todd, man, can you tell everyone out there a little bit about yourself and where you're from and how you got the fishing bug?
Sure. So I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, and I've been in North Carolina now for about 20 years. It feels weird to say that, but time's flying by. And the community has embraced me. The fishing community in North Carolina has embraced me. And, I'm very fortunate for that. But, I've always had the bug. I just never had the means or the resources to be able to do it full time. I fished BFL, stuff like that, and came up through single A and fish club events and, Federation state team, that type of, the grassroots stuff. And that's how I came up, and I had success. When I first moved to North Carolina, it was a little bit of an adjustment. It's totally different fishing here than it is up north. You have natural lakes up there. Down here, you have reservoirs. So it's a whole different ball game, a whole different learning curve. But, with time and work and it started to come together. I qualified for 3 All-Americans in 4 years. And that was a blast. The last one I was in came in second. Then I fished the Toyotas, had a couple of those, came in second 3 times, and then qualified to fish the invitationals. And at the time it was the Tech Warehouse Pro Series.
Yeah, it's Pro Series.
And that was in 2021. That was great time to quit your job. COVID just hit.
Oh man.
Quit your job and just, take the little bit of savings that you have and invest it into basically high stakes gambling at that point.
Yeah.
Because of an ego and because of something, seriously, it was a lot of help. It was a lot of help from a lot of good people in North Carolina. AAR Roofing helped me get started. And I have a very, very close personal friend that is a big part of that business. And the owners were very generous to help me, support me, live my dream. They saw my passion, they saw my drive, and they immediately bought in. And Ionic lithium batteries. Martin Kobler has been on board since day one as well. And
awesome.
he's continuing to grow his business. We got some really cool stuff coming out, stuff that is specifically designed for forward-facing sonar.
Nice.
Not want to have a forward-facing sonar discussion. There's been way too many of them.
Yes, we'll skip that.
You can use it or not use it. I don't care, but as long as I'm allowed to use it, I will use it.
Amen. I'll second that.
So, 3 years of getting my face kicked in. And, I've had some help along the way. Brian Thrift has been a big help. Brian Schmidt's been a big help.
Nice.
And there's countless other professionals that, when I had a question about either the fishing industry or how to approach practice, because this is a whole different ball game from Toyotas, from BFLs, from club events. It's completely different. And there's a learning curve. And I was told by some of the greatest in the sport that it's going to take you 3 to 5 years. And it did.
Wow.
It's starting to click. But I spent my entire off season. I had this conversation with Hank before, but I spent my entire off season staring at that screen, and I thought I knew it. I've had it since it came out in 2016. I thought I was pretty good at it, but you see these young guys come up like Drew Gill and Cole Breeden, and Jacob Wheeler and Dustin Connell, and now anybody who fishes and is under the age of 30, it has their eyes locked on that screen. There's a reason for it. It changes everything. Instead of trying to anticipate what the fish do, all I need to do is look at that screen and have them tell me what they're doing.
Yes.
So it's a completely different mindset than trying to anticipate or predict water levels, weather conditions, fishing patterns, what the fish are doing. I mean, at this time of the year, especially, they're getting ready to spawn. So you have that, but not all of them spawn at the same time.
Mm-mm.
So you've got pre-spawn, you've got pre-spawn, you still got fish in winter patterns.
Well, look what Scott Martin did with, on Okeechobee down there. I mean, with perspective mode, spawning bass. So,
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm running both. I run perspective and I run forward. And I run both of them to cover as much water as I can, as quickly as possible as I can, because with perspective, I can see, almost 180 degrees.
Yeah.
And then what I can do is I can line my forward up with what I'm looking at on a perspective.
Yep.
And then I can see in greater detail what I'm looking at.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I know we didn't want to get into the conversation of forward facing.
Yeah, it's amazing how it just quickly went right to that.
It's what fishing is right now,
is.
and that's not a bad thing. I tell people all the time, look, fishing is going to progress just like every other sport. There's a lot of us who are old school. I coached football for 13 years and now it's 2-hand touch, right? That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
I'm used to the old school, let's be brutal. If a guy's coming across the middle, let's make sure he never does it again.
Yeah.
So things are going to progress. We got to just, suck it up and enjoy it. And, you said something that me and you have talked about, and I know I experienced it, and I've seen guys like John Cruz come out with a video talking about it. I fish Highlands reservoirs and Tennessee River. And so we have always been, if you weren't good with your electronics on the lakes I fish, you're not winning anyway.
Yeah.
And, the thing that you said about it is the thing that I experienced a year ago. I went into the BFLs, and I think a lot of these guys have gone in and the John Cruz video really stands out to me. He's like, I thought I knew this, but there's so many subtle nuances to using it and the right baits and the right colors. It's almost like learning fishing all over again to a certain extent. And, I thought I was good with my electronics, and then I went and got the crap kicked out of me for a year and went, okay, no, I got to go back and really learn this and how it works. So it's not spotlighting. It's not just you see them, you catch them. You really have, it's a whole nother aspect of learning how to fish.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing that a lot on the elites and stuff, especially after the Toledo Bend. We've seen a lot of the older guys, and it's not just older guys, and I can say this, I'm 50 years old. Not yet, I'm 49, daggone, I gotta stop saying that till I get to next month.
You might as well be 50, dude.
Oh, come on, man.
What's the
No.
difference? Who cares?
But you really, it's really surprising when you get out there and you're like, oh crap, I know my electronics, but I don't know this real well.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing that Kevin Van Dam with side imaging. It's the same thing that happened years ago when he really got good.
Yeah.
And then we went into ledge fishing. Listen, ledge fishing wasn't a thing on the Tennessee River until side imaging came.
Yeah.
And kind of, and this will be my last question, but I've been dying to ask you this question. So I've heard a lot of people say, because let's face it, those bass that are on the bank have seen lures for decades, maybe 100 years, right? So depending on the age of the fishery. Now, I know from being an old school ledge head that those ledge bass are not the same as they were when we found them in mega schools on side imaging when it all first dropped. Do you think that'll go the same direction? Those fish out in the middle, as they get more and more pressured, we'll start to see them scatter.
100%, dude. They're already, I mean, just like human beings, fish are going to evolve.
Yep.
Yeah. Their main thing in life is to eat, make babies, and avoid danger.
Yep.
And yeah, there's no question that it's getting harder and harder and harder. You have to throw at more fish on heavily pressured lakes, especially where you live, dude. East Tennessee is like the mecca of live scope fishing, because your reservoirs are like 700 feet deep. And you've got, it's crystal clear water. Like it's perfect for a live scope, which is the lake by my house is very similar. It's 125 feet deep and it's loaded with little spotted bass. And that's how I cut my teeth, was trying to, catch fish suspended over 120 feet of water, 100 feet in front of the boat. I always tell people it's like trying to hit a wide receiver and you don't know what route he's running, because the bait, you have to throw the bait and get it in front of the fish, or the fish is just going to run from it. So presentation becomes more and more critical. Casting accuracy becomes more and more critical. The way you move your bait, the way you rig your bait. I mean, there are so many little intricate things to try and get more bites, and in presentation is definitely number one. Those fish are getting pressured, and the more that they get pressured, the more wary they are of unnatural things. So, and
there are always differences on every single lake you go to. The bass, it's amazing to me to see the differences from lake to lake to lake, from species, dominant species to dominant species on each lake too. Anyway, sorry, I don't get my chance to talk to enough pro anglers, so I'm like, I got some questions, baby.
It's all good. So I do want to touch on one other thing. So being 50, me and Hank are both 50 now. So
hey, wait, I gotta interrupt you, because I appreciate you very much telling me the other day, let this guy tell you how old he is. Go ahead and tell him, Brian.
I'm 50.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yes. Look at that baby face. Does he ever see the sun?
Are you really 50 years old?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be 51 this year.
Yes.
Wow, good for you, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if he's.
I didn't think Hank was 50 either, and I think it's because that big bushy beautiful beard is still brown.
Hides a lot of fat and a lot of old. I've said it before.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. What were you going to say, Tom?
All right, so one thing that I've adapted is physical fitness into my regimen to get ready for fishing. Being 50 years old, I'm not 25 anymore. So it's been the gym for 2 years now. It's been the gym, especially in the off season, going a little harder in the off season. It's 5 days a week, 2 hours a day.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a huge dedication. It's diet and nutrition when I am on the road, because you can't survive on eating fast food and feel and perform if you're at your peak level, if your nutrition and your diet isn't right. And then I started incorporating yoga and stretching for becoming more flexible and not having back pain, and being able to stand on one leg and be able to have good posture. And physical fitness has become a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
So I attribute a lot of my success to feeling better and being in the right mindset and not having that shoulder pain or back pain or elbow pain that nags you
Awesome,
and
dude.
distracts you from being focused on what you're doing.
All right, so now I got 4 questions.
Okay, all right.
Let's go.
Let's
So,
go.
so you talked about earlier, talking about with working with Brian Thrift and learning learning how to practice or how to make the best of your practice. What did you learn from that, man, that you could pass on?
So I always felt like I was a step behind in practice. So that fish during practice, especially this time of the year, because things change so quickly. What the fish are doing in practice isn't necessarily what they're going to be doing during the tournament, especially over the course of 7 days. So what I'm doing now is I'm looking for groups of fish, and I'm looking for certain classes of fish depending on the fishery. I'm looking for certain, in this West Point was a great example. I mean, I never expected to catch largemouth. I was going there expecting to catch spotted bass, and this just goes to show, like, you can do as much preparation as you want to beforehand. And most of that is navigation. And yes, this area of the lake has a lot of riprap. This area of the lake tends to have more stained water. But, at West Point, there's not a lot of tournament history. There's not a lot of information that you can get. So going into an event more open-minded and looking for groups of fish and certain classes of fish versus what lure, are they on points? Are they on secondary points? Are they on rock? Are they on wood? Are they in grass? It doesn't matter, because it's going to change. So being open-minded and fishing open-minded and fishing more free, I'm looking for groups of fish and then kind of adapting as the event and conditions change throughout the event.
Now, during the practice, do you look to set up a pattern throughout practice?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. You just
not necessarily. I'm really just looking for fish.
I'm looking for fish.
Bait. I'm looking for that biomass. You go into a pocket, you can tell there's life. There's bait popping. There's brim popping. There's movement. There's shad. There's fish busting. I hate to say this again, but I can pull into a pocket, drop my live scope transducer down there, spin it around 360 degrees, and tell what's going on real quick. And if I don't see anything, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
That is awesome.
Good question.
Now, the lake that you guys are on, West Point Lake, we talked about it earlier, being, close to pretty much like your home lake. Now, are you on Gaston? Are you close to Gaston? Or what's your home lake?
I'm kind of close to Gaston. I'm closer to like the Atkin Chain, High Rock Bait and Tillery.
Okay.
I'm close to Norman. I'm kind of like right in the middle of everything, which is
me
great.
Too.
So
that's awesome.
I have very diverse fisheries within like an hour and a half of my house.
So, this tournament ended up being a spotted bass tournament, lots of ones, lots of twos. It was a very tight event. I mean, for you guys who hopefully you've all watched it. I mean, you have 44-12, 43-8 was your Derek had right behind you. And you guys were neck and neck the whole time. Derek did lead it, I think, for a day. And then the winner, Tyler Stewart, ended up with 45-3. And the event was a one fish. I mean, pretty much one bass was what it took to win. How do you, and I know you brought the second place finishes in a lot of those, but how do you think you poured over your knowledge from, the lakes that you fish in your home area to concentrating on these spotted bass?
So this lake reminded me of High Rock Lake without the boat docks, especially in the area of the lake where I was fishing. So the fish didn't have a whole lot because the water was still 7 feet low. So all I focused on really, and what I kind of developed throughout the week, was that these fish were staging, getting ready to spawn and waiting for the water level to come up so they could get on all that good stuff in the backs of the pockets. So during practice, the water level or the water temperature had gotten up to around 61, 62 at the end of the day. And I'm thinking, this could get real interesting. Well, of course, at the like 4 p.m. of the last day of practice, when it was almost 80 degrees,
the cold front
in literally 30
Yeah.
minutes. It was 53 degrees and the wind was blowing dead out of the north at about 30 to 40 miles an hour. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I knew things were going to change, but the fish were still there. You
Yeah.
know, the water temperature was only 53 degrees when we put in, you know, first day of the tournament. But what surprised me was that the first good bite I got was in like a foot and a half of water. And I was like, oh, okay. They haven't gone anywhere. So I don't know what the question was, but that's
Yeah.
yeah, you answered it. But yeah. So one of the questions I've got about that, like, you know, you said there wasn't a lot of tournament history, and we love it. Me and Brian we're a huge fan. And I think me and you talked about this. We love the fact that, you know, we like to see you guys, because you guys are the pros. I'm no pro whatsoever. I always say that, you know, nowhere near good enough. But we like to see you guys fishing those tougher lakes, those different lakes.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
so it was really neat to get to see you guys fish a lake that honestly I'd never even heard of.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear
until-
you guys say that because I agree.
Yeah, we love it.
You know, everybody
Yes.
loves Rayburn and everybody loves
Yeah, of course.
Okeechobee and everybody loves the St. Lawrence River.
Yeah.
But there's so much, you don't even have to practice to go onto those lakes.
Yeah.
Everybody knows where the highest concentration of fish is. Everybody
Yep.
knows the tournament history because they fish the same time of the year, year after year after year.
Yes.
And that was one of the biggest things coming into, you know, the Tackle Warehouse Pro Series was, if we're going to continue to go to Gunnersville in February, Okeechobee in January, and you know these guys have 15 years of experience.
Oh yeah,
against me. You know, how the hell am I going to compete with that? Well, the young guys figured out a way to compete with that.
Yeah,
and it's with forward-facing sonar. But I do love new places. I love the fact that you know we're going to Kentucky Lake next, which
that's
in April.
awesome.
And
that is awesome.
I mean, who's even heard of a tournament being on Kentucky Lake in 10 years? Once those Asian, okay.
The NPFL went to Kentucky Lake, if I remember correctly. Another small tournament trail. I mean,
was that last year?
I think it was.
Recently?
Was it? Wow.
Was it last year, the year before last, something like that. They went to Kentucky Lake, if I remember correctly.
How do I not remember this?
I don't either, but maybe he's.
But
right.
anyway, hey, but still, it's still.
Yeah, no, but it's still it's not the same Kentucky Lake that we know. You know, it's not ledge fishing, and especially we're going in April.
Yeah.
So so that's going to be different, you know. And then we go to Champlain and Eufaula, and Eufaula is kind of interesting because Eufaula in Alabama, not Oklahoma. Eufaula is going to be in May. So, you know, it's the majority of the fish are probably not going to be out in groups, you know, on the ledges like they usually are. So, last time we went there was in May, and this is a perfect example of trying to predict what the fish are doing and not letting the fish tell you. I scanned brush piles on that lake for 2 days straight.
Gosh.
Wow.
I made a handful of casts and got absolutely smoked. It was my worst tournament finish, I think, since I've gone pro. But you know, you just learn from your mistakes and move forward. But I do like going to new places. I like that too, because you just don't know what to expect. And it stayed tight till the end. And you know, congratulations to Tyler. He's a good dude, and congratulations to Derek as well. He's also a good dude. But I hope that continues, because it does. Like the crowd was a little bit bigger. The people were excited about it because you know, they don't have tournaments in their town 5-6 times a year. So they were excited to meet us, and you know, you're smiling and beeping and waving at the gas stations.
Awesome.
And, you know, it was nice because I think this is in 4 years, this is the first time we went to a place like that. So Eufaula in Oklahoma last year was different too. So
and that's you know, we even talked about it. One of to us, you know, hardcore bass heads, you know, probably the best thing that came out of COVID was that everything got pushed back. So there was a lot of tournaments in late summer, fall. And when bass are spread out, and, you know, it's like I always say, you know, you guys are the pros. I can go catch them right now, March, April, May. I mean, I'm not saying anybody can, and I'm not saying anybody can go catch them like you guys, but we can go. I put 20-pound bags together this time of year. I want to see you guys go catch them when I can't.
Mhm.
I want to see why you're the best in the world, because you're the
Mhm.
best in the world. There's no doubt about it. I want to see why you're the best in the world. I want you to go to those lakes that are tough. I want you to go to those lakes that are where I'd go and zero at
Mhm.
times a year where I'd zero. And that's
Mhm.
why we enjoy getting to see you guys fishing lakes like this one this year and go out there and just wreck them. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, you're not pulling 12
'Cause
pounders out
y-
like Table Rock or wherever it was. And, but man,
Almost a
you're on
Table
a
Rock.
you're on a tough lake. No, I mean, like, like
Fork.
Table Rock. Yeah, Fort.
but it's like you said, though,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool there because, even if, I got a lake that's down the road that, it might not be the exact lake, but I mean, it
Yeah,
pretty much sets up like that lake.
exactly.
And, that gives, a weekend warrior angler that opportunity to learn from you guys how to catch them, smash them, and, win
Yeah.
checks. And, that's what it's all about. And that's what a lot of, that's why we watch pro fishing now. I mean, that's why it's such a
Yeah.
big screen and so many people watching and boats following and everything else that's happening these days is because, it takes the one up. And, you know, the weekend angler still can't afford $40,000 worth of electronics. I, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and they can't afford it.
I
Happy to
can't
have a
either.
boat that's $100,000 now,
Yeah.
120, 40, 80, whatever the heck it is. So, I mean, it gives them a one up to be able to watch what you guys are doing and learn from you guys while you're out on
Yeah.
the water.
Yeah.
So, um, you know, going into this event, like I said, the event ended up being really, really close. A pound is what it pretty much held off to be. I saw you doing a lot of running, a lot of moving throughout the day and catching fish. How did you kind of get everything set up? Because we kind of all knew going by before the third day that this was going to be a close event,
Mhm.
that where you weren't getting spun out and you had the arsenals you needed right there at your hands.
Mhm. Um, so what I kind of figured was, just like I said before, just staying open-minded, because the last
Yeah.
day, the first thing I noticed when we got to the boat ramp on the last day was all the trash in the water. And I'm like, okay. Cause at the end of
Wow.
the previous day, I took a stick and stuck it at where the water level was, because it was Saturday to Sunday. And typically that is when you're going to see the water fluctuate the most.
Yeah.
Right.
And sure enough, the water came up about a foot. So
Wow.
yeah, there was stuff floating in the middle of the river, and it was treacherous, but didn't seem to affect the water clarity. And the first good one that I caught was in 2.5 feet of water. So I'm like, well, okay, this is a good thing. The fish we're gonna keep going up and keep
Yeah.
moving up. I think pressure got to them by the end of the tournament. I was fishing in an area that was getting a good amount of pressure because the water clarity seemed to be like the most desirable in the lake. And I was looking for little pieces of isolated targets, whether it was
Yeah.
wood on the bank or wood under the water. I was looking for the smaller stuff because, dude, there were gigantic brush piles going down in the middle of almost every
Wow.
single pocket. And there was fish in there, and guys did catch fish in there,
Yeah.
but it seemed like the largemouth were a little bit shallower. I could catch all the spotted bass I wanted to, but the size just wasn't there like it was with the largemouth. And I ended up catching, almost 19 pounds on the second day. I had 4 largemouth, which isn't very common on that lake. And then the last day I was only able to catch 2. So just needed one more bite. But I tried everything, man. If you watched,
I did.
I tried everything. It felt, dude, that buzz bait, I thought for sure was going to get smashed that day, but it didn't. And I ended up catching them on a Senko, a jig, and flipping a beaver in the wood, and casting a jig and an eco rig, to some of the more isolated stuff that you couldn't see. But it is what it is, man. I'm just gonna take this. It coming in second place is so gratifying right now, because Hank knows, man. I was bummed. I was severely bummed, getting your face kicked in, not thinking you're good enough, and second guessing everything. And now there's confidence, now there's fire, now
That's
there's
awesome.
passion, and now I'm completely revitalized and ready to go. So I know I can do this. I know I can compete. I know I can run with these guys. And that's enough for me, man. I'm happy with second place. It it makes me burn a little bit more to get that big trophy, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it at some point.
Heck yeah. We had a young angler on probably last year in a year, and he was talking about not all brush piles being the same.
Mm.
And you just brought a point about, finding the a lot of the fish had brush, the brush piles were on a lot of fish, but not the ones that you really needed to win the event. Did you find anything on any of these brush piles, or how did you go about saying, okay, I'm not going to fish the brush piles, I'm going to move on and just fish the banks and the low lying timber and all?
So everything I caught in practice out of the brush piles they were small spots, small
Right.
largemouth. And with the water having as much color in it, it's tough for me to fish anything deeper than 10 feet of water.
Okay.
If there's
What was the
any type of
visibility?
color.
Sorry to interrupt.
Dude, most of the lake was like less than a foot.
Oh
Wow.
yeah.
Like it was a mud hole. And what's crazy is, we talked to a lot of the locals, and they're like, after the tournament, and they're like, the lake's not usually like this. It's usually pretty clear. It's usually a spot of bass fishing. And, and I think that's why those largemouths are way easier to catch, and they all get shallow when it gets dirty.
Yep.
So I know some guys caught some out of brush piles, but I would be shocked if anybody caught, a 5 pound plus class fish out of a brush pile, 20 feet of water when you can't see, 6 inches down in the water. But, so that just allowed me to eliminate things pretty quick, because I just don't have confidence in doing it. If the water was clear, yes.
Right.
I got all the confidence in the world, but those fish want to eat right now, man. They got to eat, because if they're getting ready to spawn, they gotta chow. They gotta eat.
They need the energy. They've got to eat. Yep. I agree.
They got to put the weight on. They got to, get those eggs producing. The males got to get their thing going. And, they got to eat. So,
my last question for you, you brought up earlier about working out, exercising, the yoga thing.
Trying to get Hank in there.
Hank,
when I come visit, we're going to the gym, baby.
I dropped 53 pounds last year.
Good for you, buddy.
So, and I generally do better during the summer, and plus I've got to get my room cleaned out. I've got a little workout room in here, and it's piled up with all my grandchildren's toys that they don't play with anymore. They've outgrown. So I'm getting there, man. The goal is to drop about another 50 pounds, get down to about 250, which probably is the lightest I've been since 7th grade or something.
So you were 350?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Last year, start of the year, about this time last year. Yeah.
Good for you, dude.
Heaviest I'd ever been by far.
Good for you. Keep it going, man. It gets addicting once you start to feel a little bit, especially I think it's more impactful when you're 50 than it is when you're 30.
It is.
Because once you start to feel good and you get flexible, you're like, wow, I haven't been able to do this in a long time. You can bend over and pick something up and not feel like you're dying.
You said something. Now you got to remember, like I coach football. I was in the weight room all the time during the off season. And since I quit coaching, that's when I kind of ballooned back up again. I kind of made some changes in my life to enjoy my life. And I kind of Henry VIII, I am Henry VIII. I'm going to drink and eat all I want and just enjoy life. And now I'm like, okay, I've got to, it
goes back to that whole addiction to fishing, right?
Yeah.
I want to keep fishing as long as I can. I want to keep competing as long as I can. And if I have to, hurt myself at yoga class, or if I have to go to the gym and
and you're right, yoga, people don't understand the importance. I don't even care if it's direct yoga, but stretching at our age, because we lose the elasticity in our joints it a lot from, I think, the time 40 on. And I think that's a huge part of it. And you start to lose muscle mass, I think, from 30 on.
We're doing the stretching every day at work now.
We
have a whole entire stretching regimen, and they have actually made it mandatory in 2024 that we do this every single morning.
It's good.
Talking about morning, what does
very.
a late day look like for Todd Walters, man? Like you said, you
Yeah,
talk about
tell
the
us,
exercising, and
tell us what
because a
time
lot of
Todd gets up
there's a
and
few
gets it.
anglers that do it that we see. I mean, I know John Cruz, he's a big workout guy. He's
Yeah.
always hitting a gym.
Yep.
But what does a day look like for you, man?
What does a day look like for me? So usually in the morning, it's answering emails and checking social media, drinking my coffee, having some sort of breakfast to put some food in my stomach, take 8 vitamins, go to the gym for 2 hours, come home, take a shower, and go back to the computer, answer emails, try to work with my sponsors. I do some product development with Ionic.
Nice.
So I'm getting more and more involved with their kind of growth and their
Cool.
The engineer and the owner of the company is a brilliant engineer. He understands power better than anybody, but he doesn't fish. He doesn't fish. He doesn't care to fish. He doesn't know anything about fishing. I took him on a boat once and he was done in 15 minutes. He caught a fish. He was like, all right, I'm good. Let's get out of here.
Awesome.
I was like, all right. So,
Yeah.
but see, that's where the relationship comes in. So,
Yeah,
it's more just trying to build my brand, trying to work with other companies as well.
It's awesome.
I do some side work, and I'm trying to keep that, basically maintain relationships with existing customers that I had with low voltage and fiber optic cabling, because you got to keep that money coming in. You still got to pay the mortgage, you still got to pay the power bills, you still got to pay your truck and boat payments. So but yeah, that's about it. My wife owns her own business, small business, so she's up at usually 5 or 5:30 in the morning. We're both usually up at 5 or 5:30, and usually it's lights out around 8:30 to 9 o'clock. So that's about it. Or I'm in the garage tinkering with tackle. I do that a lot. In fact, one of my biggest problems that I have is staying organized. So I'm going to work on that here. Kind of declutter.
This looks really organized. If you could just see the knee-high boxes behind me in the floor that have been there for months.
Yeah. I got the same thing going on.
Yeah.
Dude.
So, oh dang it! What was I gonna say? We started talking about.
Oh, you think about that. I got one more question. Todd, for you guys out there know, we have an Amazon store. We're an Amazon affiliate store. Somehow I got an affiliate store in 2024. They reached out to us because of our growth, which is really freaking cool. But the goal this year is to ask our guest, what is your bait of this time of year that we can add to our store?
Your favorite.
Collar and everything?
No, you can just put no. I mean, you can if you want. I mean, go for it.
Whatever you want.
So
your favorite way to catch them this time of year. Period. Favorite bait.
It's Senko, dude.
Oh, easy.
I mean, it's so easy.
Yeah.
March, April, May, Senko. You have to have one on the deck of your boat, whether you nail weight it, Nico rig it, or weightless. It doesn't matter.
I agree.
He is the Senko king.
It's a freaking fish catching killer, dude.
Yep, I love
it too. You can fight it all you want to, but them jokers will eat that thing.
And I do, and I pay for it this time of year. I'm like, I'm not throwing a Senko today. Let me throw this worm and that worm and this other worm, and then Senko.
Yeah. If you want to catch fish, throw Senko this time of the year.
I can't agree more.
Do you remember your question? Go for it.
I did. It just hit me. No, well, it was less of a question and more of a statement. We were talking about growing your brand there, and that's one thing I hope. That's me and Todd had talked about it at Raleigh. Hopefully, we're going to get him out there and get him pumping out those YouTube videos here pretty soon. He's been gracious enough to come and do some of the how-tos on Geek. So we're on Bass Geek, so that's going to be fun, and we're going to kind of. We're gonna kind of get him out there and get those how-tos and pick that
I'm gonna bring Hank some gifts, and we're gonna play with the new gifts. And
I've got to remember to bring you some gifts that I promised to bring you, so you can try them out and see what you want.
Real quickly, if you guys don't mind, I do want to plug two new products for Ionic batteries. So I did mention the forward-facing sonar battery. So all metal casing. It's got mounting hardware that comes with it, so you don't need to get a tray, and it mounts inside your rod locker. And I designed it specifically so it doesn't take up a lot of room. It's real narrow. You can mount it right next to your black box. You don't have to splice wires. You don't have to run wires. So
Nice.
you have much better, clean, dedicated power. It stays
That's
out of
awesome.
the way. It's a really cool design. So check it out. Don't call Ionic yet because they're not out. Don't tie up their customer
Yeah.
service, calling them and asking them about this forward-facing sonar battery because it ain't out yet. It's in production. It'll be here probably in late March, early April. And Ionic will have it on their page. And then we're doing a DC charger, which is
Oh, cool.
basically every time you're running your starting motor, you have a 24 and a 36 option.
Yep.
And we got a 5-bank charger coming out because a lot of guys are running. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
More power, baby. You need
We've
that
gone from-
technology. You got to have
God,
the
we've
power.
gone from 3 when I started to 5 now. I mean,
Yep.
I'm trying to design a 80-inch screen that'll fold down.
no, you just need to do what I saw an angler did the other day, and that was John B.
Yeah,
Dugan.
yeah.
He
We
had
see
the
that.
brand new Apple face glasses on.
Yeah.
And that was actually, I mean, I know you look stupid, please. I mean, he was just doing it for a video, but it was pretty freaking cool because
it's
you
coming.
didn't have to look down anymore. It was all right there.
Listen. I have said this, and I want this out in the world because I've got a buddy being in the IT field. I have predicted forward-facing sonar. I predicted side. I've predicted all this, and before anybody knew it was coming. So I want to say this right now. Eventually, there will be sunglasses, and there was already something like this at a ICAST about 3 to 4 years ago. It was, the company is defunct now, but they had sunglasses that overlaid topographical mapping over the water. So it's cool in the goggles that you can see a screen, but what will eventually happen, and the big breakthrough will be when you have those sunglasses on, you turn your head, your turret or your trolling motor turns with you, and you can literally see the fish overlaid on the water, and you'll see a depth that they are in displayed on the side. That is the next big thing.
Yeah. We all know AI is coming. And
that's the part that scares me is the AI. I hope it's not. I think for me, that's the line. Like AI, if once you take the angler's decision making out of it, I get it for the weekend guys.
Yeah.
For the pro and for a competitive standpoint, I hope that's where we draw the line. I don't want it telling me where to go fish. Now, listen, I'm okay for self-driving cars and boats. Like if I can sleep on the way to, and then it'll just pull the seat out and put me in the boat and drive me to my first spot and then say, you are at your first spot. And I can just stand up and cast. I'm good with that.
Because there's no AI involved in that at all.
No.
But they're not. I've got to tell it where my first spot is now.
Yeah, it's coming. I've heard rumblings. I've heard grumblings.
Oh, I don't know about the AI stuff, man. That scares me.
They're going to integrate it with fishing eventually.
Yeah,
like it's going to integrate with everything, dude.
It will. It will.
Todd, appreciate you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. And it was funny. So we had a great time.
I appreciate it. You guys check me out at Todd Walters Fishing on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and look for me and Hank to be teaming up at the end of the month. We're gonna do some fun stuff. We're gonna
and the name of that battery company
we're gonna wrestle. We're gonna do all kinds of fun things.
Oh my god!
Listen, we're only allowed 30-second rounds if we're wrestling because you're in way better cardio shape.
I'd have to just keep running from you.
All right, guys. Todd Walters, everyone. Appreciate you. We'll be right back. Man, we'd really appreciate Todd coming on and talking with us tonight. Great conversation, by the way. Excellent angler. His day will come, that top finish. I ain't gonna lie, I was rooting for Derek. Derek's my neighbor. I mean, he's a mile from the house.
It was tough for me. If either one of those would have won because I know both of them so well. Yeah.
And, I got to meet Todd dinner at the show. Baskik introduced me to him. So, and they were out there doing their thing. And I broke it all up for a little bit to get my time with Geek because, You know, you guys all know Geeks Famous is all get out.
No,
Famous.
no.
But yeah, so thank you, Todd, again. Congratulations to him. Like I said, he's gonna win one of these bad boys, you know, Tackle Warehouse Invitation
Oh, absolutely.
events one day and take home that $80,000. But I mean, hey, 50 grand for a weekend ain't too shabby. And even Derek, I mean, 20,300 is what he took home. I mean, they'll help pay some bills. Derek's got a brand new baby, guys. I mean,
There
so
you go.
I was really, really rooting for him. But
20K will be real close to paying those entry fees for the year. So.
that is, and that, amen for that. And Tyler Stewart, guys, that dude's come out of nowhere. 2 back-to-back wins for this young man. I mean,
yeah,
and come from behind on the last one to win that. I mean, it was,
yeah,
guys, it was one fish. I mean, like I said, I mean, it was a great event.
yeah.
I was Saturday, I hung
In
around
the
the
last
house.
minute of the last day.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, I mean, this is probably one of the best Tackle Warehouse Invitational events I've ever watched, or
really
Tackle Warehouse
was.
period event. Like I said, fishing, I don't care.
Look, I don't know what the ratings were, but if you don't like live scope, you should have been watching this event because it was a old school fishing day
Yes.
and week.
And even, you know, Trey McKinney winning his first one, you know, the youngest angler
Great
ever.
kid. We've had him on twice.
Yes, the youngest angler ever to win a bass fishing event. And I mean, dude, we're talking about pounds for him too. I mean,
Yeah.
a couple pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and if you guys watched any of that, like, so I watched the morning hour and then I kicked it in. I had to go do some adulting and I came back and finished watching the rest of it. But I mean, he had said earlier in the day, the fish had scattered, you know, he
Yep.
wasn't getting the bites, but later in the day, he was able to knock them out and
Yep.
get what it needed to win his first ever Bassmaster Elite event, the youngest angler to ever do it at 19 years old.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about this. You put this out as a shorts clip, as a TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody can sit around and go, "Oh man, all these young anglers are only winning because of live scope." No, they're winning with live scope, and what I
Right.
mean by that is the kid that we talked to that won the MPFL.
Yeah.
200 hours or 200 days of the year, I think maybe even plus 200 plus days he spent on the water the year before. These kids are putting the time in. They can catch them. And Trey McKinney is one of them. You go back and look, this kid has fished for years.
Mm-hmm.
He can catch them any which way you want to
Mm-hmm.
catch them, with or without electronics.
So, guys, you know, it's baseball season. It's here, spring training. But if you guys want to compare fishing now to that, and we complain like, oh, they can spend all this time on the water, but these major league fishing, major league baseball players, they go to Mexico, they go south to play all off season down there, stay in shape, run, and do what they need to do.
Yes,
when they get back to the regular season, you know, playing for the American team or whatever, I mean, they're ready to go. So I mean, it's all year round now. It really is. I mean, it's a big commitment all year round, and it really is different now. It's just there's so many side hustles you can make money. Hell, you can sell crap on eBay. I mean, there's so many things that you can do to make money, to put gas in the tank to go fishing. And guys, a lot of these people, they don't come from money. I mean, some of them do, some of them don't. I mean, but that's enough about that. But congratulations, everyone. What a great weekend it was for bass fishing, and another great weekend ahead. And like I said, guys, we're going to be up at Smith Mile Lake covering the BFL. We'll have all the results, photos, videos of the winner, you name it, up on the basscast.com. Guys, head on over, check out Geek. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Geek, we haven't done this in a while because it seems like we haven't been together in a month, even though we have. Do you know what we're up to now?
No, I do not.
You do not.
Me?
Yes, you.
What? Yeah, we hit 76,000. I'm looking at it right now. We're at 76,060 subscribers now.
All right. So make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, hit the notification bell. And again, guys, we're going to be at Red Crest. I'm going to try to drop a show in before we go to Red Crest. Love to see you. Going to be walking around, hanging out. Please say hello and appreciate you guys listening to Basscast Radio. And I got another announcement, but I'll make it later. Lots going on. Talk to you guys later. Bye.